So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. And welcome to this webcast. We have an exciting agenda for today, the power of sunlight. And we have two speakers for today, myself and my colleague AJ. AJ, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Maurice. Basically, I'm a product manager in Signify with our 20 years of experience, and I had an opportunity to work with various regions across the world in Asia and Europe. And was fortunate enough to see different, I would say, technology change within lighting industry from conventional to LED and now solar lighting. Quite passionate about all these products that we develop within Signify and help customers in their needs. Thank you.
All right, thanks, AJ. Yeah, and my name is Maurice Loosschilder. I'm globally heading sustainability here at Signify. I've joined the company over 22 years ago. I've held several positions and for over 10 years in sustainability. And since 3 years, I'm globally heading sustainability, which is a combination of sustainability management responsible for our Brighter Lives, Better World sustainability programs, as well as the ESG reporting exercise within Signify. Well, the agenda for today, I will share in the first 10-15 minutes an overall view of sustainability, and then I will hand it over to AJ, who will focus further on solar. So let's start with Signify. So Signify, we are of course the biggest lighting company in the world, and we have quite a long history of sustainability management. When we separated from Royal Philips back in 2016, we had the first opportunity to create our own lighting-specific sustainability program. And the lighting sustainability program, the first one was called Brighter Lives, Better World. And Brighter Lives, Better World is actually a perfect combination of brighter lives on one hand, social part of sustainability, and better world on the other side. And when we launched this first program, which was a 5-year program, we had several commitments that we have launched and published to the world. And that was mostly focused on how can we operate sustainably ourselves. And as you can see on the slide, we have quite some achievements in that first program. So it was a strong focus on decarbonization of our own carbon footprint. You see in the blue numbers, we have reduced our own operational carbon footprint by 77% since 2010. And this is for the insider scope 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3. So it's the emissions from our own facilities as well as business travel and logistics. In 2020, we also became 100% renewable electricity globally, which means that all our electricity that we use in our own facilities came from renewable sources. We also have a zero waste to landfill achievement, so none of our industrial sites send any waste to landfill globally. And we are on the verge to phase out plastics in our consumer-facing packaging. Then a little bit on the opportunity of lighting. So lighting, with the right lighting, connected lighting, you can actually reduce up to 90% of your energy consumption versus the old technology. And in the bottom, you see a few of our credentials. So we are A-lister on the Carbon Disclosure Program on CDP. We are on the World Index of the Dow Jones since we IPO'd away from Philips. We are member of the Clean 200 from As We Sow and Corporate Knights. We have a platinum medal in EcoVadis, and we are a top-rated company in Sustainalytics. Just a few of our credentials. Well, let's look at the company strategy. So the company strategy you see here in green on the left-hand side of the slide. And this is our company strategy that we introduced back in 2020. And in 2020, it was a pivotal moment in time for Signify because we actually moved away from having one specific company strategy and a separate sustainability strategy. And we moved to having one integrated sustainable company strategy. We call this the 5 frontier strategy. And you see the third frontier is called growth for sustainability. And growth for sustainability for us means how can we grow the company through sustainability and not at the expense of the planet. So that's the double materiality aspect that we already brought into our strategy back in 2020. Within growth for sustainability, we defined 5 growth areas. And you see them in this slide. So the first 2 are very environmentally related. We call them Better World. Climate action and circular economy. So we look at climate, we look at materials. Then we have 3 more socially related growth areas called food availability, safety, security, and health and well-being. You see also the individual sustainable development goals from the UN that we are contributing to with the individual parts of the program. And if you combine that brighter lives part with the great place to work, then you have the full social side of the program. And then in the top, you see the company purpose of Signify. And the company purpose is to unlock the extraordinary potential of light, which is all around innovation, for brighter lives and a better world. And that's actually the name of our sustainability program. So you do see here, and that's in the title, sustainability is truly at the heart of our company, both our strategy as well as in our purpose. So what is Brighter Lives, Better World? Brighter Lives, Better World, the overarching theme, which we launched in 2021, or we launched it in 2020. It went live January 1, 2021, is again a 5-year program. And it's a 5-year program which ends by the end of 2025 with an overarching theme to double a positive impact on the environment and on society. And here on the left, you see again these 5 growth areas, and we have actually defined doubling objectives for each of these growth areas. The first one is in the climate space, where of course the webinar today is focusing a lot on the climate. Double the pace we achieve the 1.5 degree scenario of Paris Agreement. I have a slide that explains this, but this is basically saying we have to stay pretty far below the 1.5 degree scenario of Paris. This has been approved by this this has been signed off by the Science Based Targets Initiative. So we have science-based targets that back up this doubling the pace of Paris commitment. The second one is in the circular economy space. How can we double all the revenues that come from our circular portfolio? And circular portfolio are for us serviceable luminaires, our circular components, so everything that we can do to create more value, to keep more value in the ceiling and to avoid waste in the stream. So we want to double our circular revenues from 16% in 2019, which is the baseline for our program, to 32% by the end of 2025. Currently, we are already surpassing the end of program targets. So we're currently at 33%, which we published in our annual report last month. Then Brighter Lives revenues. So Brighter Lives revenues are our social part of the portfolio. So these are all the products, systems, and services that have a contribution to food availability, safety, security, health, and well-being. There we also need to double between 2019 and end of 2025 from 16 to 32%. Same percentages as in circular, that's just a coincidence. Then Great Place to Work. We looked at the diversity profile of the company, and we concluded that we need to improve the gender diversity of our company. So here we said, let's put an end of pipeline target and let's double the amount of women in leadership positions from 17% in the baseline to 34% by the end of the program. For Brighter Lives revenues, we're currently at 31%, so we're closing in on the end target. And for the Great Place to Work, the women in leadership positions, we are currently at 29%. So we made quite some improvements since the start of the program. Okay. Then let's deep dive on climate. So what does it actually mean to double the pace of the Paris Agreement? Well, here you see in that graph, you see the black line. And the black line starts in our baseline year 2019. And this is basically a reduction, year-on-year reduction to get to, in 12 years' time, to the level where we think, which is the white line, that we will think we will be in 2025, which means a relative reduction of 40% versus the baseline in 2025. And as you can see in the title above the graph, this is including the product use and the supply chain. Product use is for us important because the use of our product determines more than 98-99% of our carbon footprint of the company. This, of course, has to do with the fact that our LED lighting, although it has a low wattage, it has an extremely long lifetime. Where previously, in the old conventional days, we had bulbs that had a very high wattage but a very short lifetime. Now, with the LED technology, has, of course, a very long lifetime. And that's why that brings up the carbon footprint to scope 3 of our company. So here we have a full, including product use, as well as the impact, the carbon emissions of our suppliers and the embedded carbon in the materials that we use. So currently we are even far below the white line. So we are even outperforming the doubling the pace of the Paris Agreement. And this has been under reasonable assurance with our auditor in our annual report. So that's our climate. We have approved science-based targets here as well in this same space, backing up the double the pace of the Paris Agreement for the short term, but we also have midterm and long-term targets published. So that brings me to the slide about the energy and the climate crisis. Because of course we all remember the recent global energy crisis was very impactful. It was very complicated. And this resulted, and you see that in the right top charts on the slide, highly fluctuating fossil fuel energy prices, right? And that makes people really rethink of their choice of fuels, especially energy from renewable sources and all the related impacts of that. And if we think about renewable energy, that really contributes to, first of all, stabilizing energy prices. Second of all, improving energy security. And third of all, of course, it reduces emissions. And especially the final point is very important because, as I just said, the majority of our value chain emissions are in the use phase. So that's basically when our customers are using our lighting products. So the use of electricity of our customers heavily depends or heavily impacts the carbon footprint of our company. And if we then look at the chart on the left bottom, this is a graph from the International Energy Agency. They're also recognizing the key role that, first of all, renewable electricity is playing to reach a net zero future. And as you can see in the graph, solar energy generation capacity has been rising really rapidly already. And if we then zoom out and we take 2030 view, then you see that it's already approximately 50% of the global renewable electricity production will come from the solar part here that you see on this slide. And I think that is a nice bridge towards our main speaker for today, towards Ajay. So Ajay, I would like to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Maurice. Let me share my slides. So what's the context that we are talking about is basically globally we have over 300 million street lights. And each year, roughly about 5% of these street lights are going for replacement, refurbishment by different agencies. So one of the options, as Maurice said, there is due to energy crisis and sustainability and climate actions, we see solar street lighting as one of the big potentials to impact in these areas. So with this, we would like to cover a few topics on solar street lighting and share our experiences and what are the do's and don'ts and some case studies and why Signify in the coming few minutes. So coming to the first topic is about climate action. So we see more and more urbanization is happening. And there is also, if you see the EU greenhouse gas emissions, or 75% of it is coming from the production phase, as Maurice said. And there is also globally a quite population who is having difficulties in access to grid. And this can be a good use case for solar street lighting. There is also a lot of funds that is being deployed by the governments to use and promote green solutions. And this can be one of those solutions to qualify for these kind of funds, apart from the energy crisis we just talked about. Why, while all these things are happening at the macroeconomic conditions, there is also a good tailwind coming from technology. That means we are now using most of our products are all LED street lighting. That means the performance of LEDs are much better than the erstwhile conventional lamps, sodium vapor or mercury or metal halide lamps. And this helps us to reduce the overall unit energy consumption of each street light. And this also helps us to use batteries and panels. So apart from this, we also see, because of the rising consumption of solar panels in many of the solar farms, the price of the solar panel is also reducing significantly, while performance of the panels are also going up. And there's a lot of optimism in the developments that are happening around. Apart from this, we also see battery technologies evolving very quickly because of the fact from the automotive industry, a lot of batteries are being used, and there is a big race towards finding the best and the better efficient batteries, which is also helpful for our lighting products. Apart from this, since most of these products are becoming LED and digital, we also can use sensors, connectivity, etc., to make it more and more flexible. So what is solar lighting in simple terms? It is very simple that during the daytime, the sun produces energy through solar panel, and that energy is stored in a battery, which is at the bottommost, and then you can use this energy during the night to light up the lights in the street light. And there is also option that we can use an hybrid system where during non-sunny days we can use, I would say, grid power to power the lights. Mainly, it is a good solution for refurbishment or refurbishment solutions. So based on these components, this can be placed in different options. In this diagram, which is most commonly used, is called non-integral systems, typically where the panels are used on the top, batteries can be at the bottom, inside the pole, above the pole, and the electronics that is required to maintain all of these things is a combo CC. We call it as combo charge controller, which is, for example, a traffic light, which allows the flow of energy during the day and during the night, and also protects the system. And it is important that we make this entire system work in a seamless way so that it is a reliable system. So based on the combination in which you use these components, we have different options. So one of them could be, I would say, off-grid systems and hybrid systems. The basic difference between these two systems are the autonomy that you create. That means the backup that you need in terms of battery size and panel size. So if the batteries in off-grid system, we typically make it for higher number of nights because you need to make sure that the cloudy days and I would say rainy days, you should still be able to have enough energy so that you can use it seamlessly light through the nights, all nights. While in case of hybrid, we have a scope of using smaller batteries and smaller panels because you have a backup of grid power. And based on the way we integrate all of these components, we have something called as all-in-one system, which has almost all the components within a single street light, includes batteries, panels, charge controllers, sensors, etc. The difference between the left side and the all-in-one system is, since the luminaire is having a definite size, we cannot have very big batteries and panels, and hence the lumen output and the autonomy that we can give from these street lights are limited. While the second option is the all-into system, which is a in-between system between what you call as the non-integral system and I would say all-in-one system, where the batteries and panels are put together on the top, together with the electronics, and this is much more simpler as compared to the system on the left. So it is kind of two kits which is used to give the same kind of performance. Compared to what are the design considerations that you need to consider while doing a street light design is about solar street lighting. So the basic thing is about street lighting. So all the parameters that is of street light is paramount importance, that is the light on the road. So we need to make sure that the lighting design is meeting the respective standards. While doing that, we have flexibility in many different options. One of those is, I would say, the choice of optics, because this optics will give, I would say, an extra energy saving. If you choose a normal optics versus a customized optic for a particular road configuration, we can see a significant amount of reduction while maintaining the pole height, the bracket length, and the spacing. So on the other hand, the optics can also help to increase the spacing between the poles, which also reduces the overall cost of ownership of the total system. So optics plays a very important role in defining the lowest possible watts per square meter, and that is very helpful for our solar products because the lesser the power, the better it is in terms of the battery and the panels, because battery and panels are finite amount of components, not like grid where you have infinite amount of energy. Apart from this, we can further optimize these systems in terms of, I would say, doing light on demand, basically creating a schedule uh, through the night so that you can keep the light when it is needed, and also using sensors and switch on the lights or increase the light output only when there is occupancy. So based on the type of application, if there is less, I would say, movement in the street, we can always use sensors to further optimize the energy. With all the digitization that is going around, we can use all the remote connectivity options and monitoring options of these street lights by doing changes on a daily basis or a monthly basis or when it is required. So all these things can be done from remotely from the convenience of your office while monitoring the system all across the place, wherever it is across the world through GSM technologies and other technologies. So what we have seen through our experiences is compared to a traditional system, if we can follow all these optimization methods in lighting design and I would say controls and connectivity, we can reduce the energy required per night by up to 70%. So the lesser the energy, the better it is, as I said earlier. Apart from this lighting design, which is the first step that we need to do additionally few more steps to be able to complete the solar system design. It all starts from the location. From the location, we get the data of what is the amount of solar irradiance available in that location for every month and what is the night length that we need to cover for every month on an average, right? And based on the type of system that we envision, whether it is off-grid or hybrid, we need to choose either an average or the worst night to be able to have a very reliable system. If you do vice versa, and which we have seen in many cases, uh, customers or designers will consider an average of the year and do a system design. When we do this kind of design, we expect almost 3 to 4 months. There is no light based on the location that we are in. So it's very important that we consider the lowest irradiance of the year and the highest length of the night for doing an off-grid system, while for an hybrid system, we can still consider averages, which is still possible because you have a grid power as a backup. Apart from that, we also have to see the weather conditions, means how many consecutive days you have no sun, you know, because this is very important to define the battery size and the panel size, which helps that you have a consistent light output and there is not much difference between what you design and what you actually get. If you make it too less, then you will have nights in winter or in poor weather conditions that the lights are not switching on, and that may create too an imbalance between what is expected and what is delivered. So this is a very important parameter because this defines the cost of the system. Many times what we see is the to optimize the cost of the system, people will start using smaller batteries and smaller panels, which will lead to kind of dissatisfaction, and people will say solar is not good enough. So to avoid these things, it's important that we choose a right autonomy based on the historical uh, information available. Apart from this, there is also a lot of impact on the pollution and the maintenance of these panels. So if you have a region or an application where there is high pollution, we should derate the system in sufficiently so that we have a very good performance of the product versus if we are in a very good non-pollution system, we can consider a better, I would say, derating factor, not penalize too much. So it's important to find a good balance between the I would say the pollution levels and the sizing or the derating that we do. This will ensure that the performance of the system is good. Apart from that, we should also ensure that the line of sight is available always on the sun through the day, because most of the calculations and the data that we get from all the sources is considering that the sun is available for the panel through the day. If in case, if these panels are not exposed completely, then we may not see so much of difference in most part of the year, but in winter, because we have considered the lowest amount of irradiance in winter, even if you get few hours less sun, then you will show up in the performance of the product. And hence it is important that the line of sight is is available always. Apart from that, we see that there are quite some uh, uh, designs of the pole which is extending above the luminary, and these kind of poles can also cast shadows on the luminary, which should also be avoided. Maybe it's a very small, I would say, shadow, but it will still have an impact on the luminary performance. So just to summarize, it is very important that we have defined the energy per night that is needed through best lighting design possible, and based on the choice of system that we need to deploy, whether it is off-grid or hybrid, we should ensure that the overall calculation is done based on that. Apart from that, we also have to choose the type of systems that we need, whether it is, I would say, all-in-one system, two-in-one system, or non-integral system. And also, there is wide choice of luminaires that are available, so that you have consistency between, I would say, your grid power luminaires and solar luminaires. The autonomy is very important to know what is the amount of nights that you need backup, and all of these things will define the size of the battery, and the temperatures define the type of chemistry of the battery that we need to use, and the size of panel and the pollution. So these are some of the very critical points that we should keep in mind while, I would say, designing the street light. So to give you some examples, we also use an in-house software which will consider most of these parameters into our, I would say, design, and hence we will have a very reliable system. Apart from that, there is also configurations that we can always do on site through either mobile phones or through internet, where we can change the, I would say, energy consumption per night based on the real situations as well. So some of the do's and don'ts that we try to put together in terms of picture, because a lot can be seen in picture more than words, right? So hence we made some few installation pictures. So this is one of the very good examples where you have the line of sight for the panel extremely well, and there is no surroundings which has any issue. So these are some of very good examples that we have seen in our projects. We also see some of not so good examples, just to be avoiding these kind of examples. Like you see on the left one, there is a tall tree next to the PV panel. Of course, it will not give you shadow through full day, but there is a certain part of the time on the day you will have some shadow falling on it. This may not be a problem during summers because you have over designed your system, but in winters, this can really cause problems. The other one you can see in the center, where you have a lot of electrical lines moving around, and this can also cast shadows on the PV panel, which can also reduce the overall performance of the product. The other important thing, which is generally not seen, is use of conventional street light very close to the PV panels. So when conventional light is switched on during night, the light is good enough from these kind of street lights that falls on the PV panel to switch off the solar lights, considering it is, I would say, day. So there is certain amount of voltage and current that is generated by the sun through these PV panels, and even this kind of street lights can also generate enough power that it can switch off the light. So either we need to reduce the uh, power of these lights, or we should increase the thresholds of these solar lights to adjust this. So to avoid all of these late stage issues, it is better to avoid that we put the solar lights just next to conventional lights. Some more examples in similar angles where you see how the performance of the light gets affected. Even with the artificial light, the solar light gets switched off. Some places we have seen, even though it's solar lights, it is installed under the tree. So in these kind of cases, it will definitely affect the performance of the products. So these are not so good examples, and we request that it is avoided. And when you do also design of the project, these are the aspects that we should consider in our designing times. Some more examples of how the products have been installed, which are not so good conditions. Coming to some of the case studies, I would say we have different types of case studies that we can show. Is from a big road, which is, I would say, S40 in Spain, which is about more than 200 sets, 250 sets, which has a non-integrated system. If you can see these systems, the customer used the battery not at the bottom of the pole, but in the middle of the pole, just to manage the theft, because typically what they see is there can be theft when it is under ground or easy accessibility, and hence the customer decided to put this batteries at a different height. But this kind of roads can also be lit through solar, is what we would like to demonstrate. And some other applications of all-in-one, where we said there is a finite amount of panel and battery in a all-in-one system. We can use these kind of systems for cycle park type of, I would say, applications, where the lighting level required is much lesser compared to the previous ones, but still we can offer a very good, I would say, solutions for these kind of applications. Similarly, there's another one which is of similar walkways, which is done in Guadeloupe in France. And this is one of those islands in Greece where we have used a similar all-in-one systems for secondary road applications, I would say. This is one of those case studies where we have done quite a big deployment, I would say, in Spain. I would like to run this video, short video, to better understand this system.
Nueva Zan is one of the most beautiful villages in Spain. We have a quite casuistic municipality because the town center is small, but then we have 4 residential areas, including Eurovillas, which they say is one of the largest in Europe.
We encountered an issue during the urbanization process. The villas held significant importance, but unfortunately, all the wiring was damaged and the cabinets were bridged. As a result, we had to replace the lighting in order to resolve the problem.
And when it came to considering the change in lighting, we made the decision to rely on solar lighting for our illumination needs.
In the Nuevo ASEAN project, 2 types of solar lighting solutions implemented: all-in-one solutions, integrated solutions, where all elements incorporated in the luminaire. On the other hand, in the own urbanization of the villas, where the lighting requirements were higher due to more traffic of vehicles and more use throughout the night, all-in-two solutions or non-integrated solutions have been applied in order to guarantee autonomy during the night in any season of the year.
The luminaires do not have any type of network connection. Each one works independently, and that is what led us to this type of technology, because you don't have to dig trenches or break anything, and it takes very little time. And then the solar panel is sized, in this particular case, to withstand a duration of 4 days without sun.
It is also true that this Philips lighting has quite important factors, such as the fact that the intensity of the light can increase or decrease at certain times, depending on the flow of traffic on public roads.
Because not all streets are the same, not all streets have the same traffic, therefore, energetically optimizing energy and battery consumption.
In all the solar lighting applications we have implemented at Novastan, it is possible to connect to the lighting system through a free mobile application, which on one hand will enable us to obtain information about the operating status at any given time of each of the elements of the solar set. Additionally, it allows us to reprogram the operation of the installation to provide different levels of illumination depending on the time of night, thereby increasing and optimizing the battery autonomy according to the time of year and enhancing the overall efficiency of the solar lighting system.
Because you can see every day what you are generating, what you are accumulating, how much the battery is. It makes everything much more flexible.
The significance that placing bets on this solar project holds for Nueva Estan is crucial in transforming us into a municipality that is both economically viable and, of course, environmentally sustainable.
Economically, the number doesn't come out very well because the installation is cheaper and the maintenance is cheaper and the lighting is fantastic.
The level of satisfaction is a perfect 10 out of 10. We have thoroughly tested all 230 lights in Las Villas, and they are functioning exceptionally well. The truth is that it has been a rather noticeable change, and we have observed that the streets are now finally illuminated. I think solar power is the future energy source. In Spain, we have abundant sun, making it an ideal choice for transitioning.
So in summary, some of the key takeaways for this session is about why solar lighting. Basically, because of climate action, energy crisis, technology shift is aiding solar lighting to be able to deploy it in large-scale projects, not just small ones, as you have seen. And there are different types of solar lighting possibilities: off-grid, hybrid, all-in-one, all-in-two, or non-integral systems. So it's very important to design the system in a right way so that the performance of the products are as expected by considering all the local location specific parameters to be used for all the calculation purpose, and design the building blocks are correct. Building blocks are selected for a successful, I would say, solar system. Some of the do's and don'ts are: we should have a clear line of sight for sun, full day, avoid all types of shadows, trees, artificial lights, so that you have a system that is working very well. Apart from this, I would say a few lines about why Signify. Signify is founded as part of Philips in Eindhoven, back in Netherlands. We have been in the lighting industry with a lot of innovations for our professional consumer customers for over 130 years, and with over 20,000 patents. Signify is the world leader in lighting, and we offer very high quality products for consumers and professionals. Apart from that, we also have systems and services which we can offer. So we have been number one in connected lighting and LED lighting with over 6.7 billion sales and 32,000 passionate people working all across 70 countries around the world. Some other few numbers, I would say, we invest about 4.2% of our sales back into R&D, and that helps us to bring innovative solutions like these, which we mentioned, for our customer to solve bigger macroeconomic solutions and fulfill the needs of our customers. So 85% of our sales are now in LED. As Maurice said, LEDs can reduce the CO2 emission in the use phase significantly because of good energy saving. With off-grid solar, you don't consume anything over grid, so this is a completely CO2 free in use phase. We also invest in a lot of design activities where we have got 8 design awards, and 29% of our women in the leadership are women. And 124 million connected light points are deployed all across the world. So you have a rich experience as a partner for your solutions. 33% of our products are coming, revenues are coming from circular revenues. 31% is accounting to Brighter Lives revenues in 2023, and with 30% of our sales are coming from growth platforms and connected lighting. So our sole purpose is to unlock the extraordinary potential of light for brighter lives and better world. So we offer professional products, systems, and services. So products can be used in any of the applications like road and street, panels, offices, industries, retail, hospitality. In all applications, we can cater. Professional systems are like Interact, where all these products can be remotely connected through Interact systems. And we also offer services of design and I would say after sales options, where you can maintain, manage, and lifecycle services. Apart from that, we also have a lot of consumer lamps that we offer to our consumers, and smart connected systems like U and Vis.